Let's talk about the caretaker. The caretaker is what I call an umbrella archetype. So you can have the label caretaker, but under it will come sub-archetypes: friend, helper, healer, rescuer. The caretaker archetype is often born, especially at the tribal level, with the person who's the oldest female in the family. Much more prevalent for females than males, but it's not impossible. So you're given that role as the oldest female to look after younger siblings. And so you learn from an early age how to be the caretaker. At the tribal level, you have no idea how to stop being the caretaker. I remember one instance of a lady who came to see me because she'd been diagnosed with breast cancer years ago, had chemo, was good for a couple of years, didn't do any other sort of work around anything, and then manifested it as lung cancer later on. And so she came to me when the lung cancer was developed, and only now was she ready to hear. She pulled caretaker and the many corresponding archetypes that I talked about, all at the tribal level. And hers was the classic case. She was the oldest of 9 kids. Her children had something like 20 different grandchildren. She looked after all of them. And now she was starting on the next lot, the great-grandchildren. And she had no idea how not to caretake. That's her identity. That's who she was. What she did was deny totally her own creativity, her own passion, her own quiet time. She loved to paint, and I remember saying to her, if I could write a script for you, I would put you in a studio, take away all your responsibilities, and I'd just have you painting. And years later, she started doing that, but years later, her health was still fine because she'd stopped caretaking, which is what happens at the symbolic level, where you realise this is pretty stupid. And so you start caretaking yourself and you start looking after you, because for years and years and years, all you've done is look after others. And if you keep caretaking consistently, I've seen it lead to a lot of illnesses later on, because the caretaker at tribal is so stuck in caretaking, they do not have clear boundaries. They do not know how to say no. So they get ill so that they can say no. Not a good way to do it. So it's much better if you can have caretaker at the symbolic level, and remember, you're allowed to say no, especially when you get into your 60s, 70s and onwards. You're allowed to say no a lot earlier than that too. But they're just often brought up in that vintage, that role model, that age where, oh, no, to be a good person, you must always be there for everyone else, but never for yourself. So the caretaker at tribal is one of those dangerous archetypes that can come up, that if it keeps going, it spells health issues. It absolutely spells health issues. I've seen it over and over again. So it's good to get caretaker at the symbolic level. Really helps you, especially your health.